Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here, and boy do I have a great surprise for you. As you probably already know, if you watch rock and roll news like I do, and I'm sure most of you do, you already know that Kelly Hansen of Foreigner is leaving the band at the end of the summer, and that Luis Maldonado is taking over that role. And you know, Luis has been with the band for about 4 years. He came in as a guitarist and already got a promotion as lead singer of the band. How about that? Well, I've got Luis with us here today on this interview, and what a super great guy to talk to. Amazing guitarist, amazing vocalist, and if anybody could fill the shoes of Lou Gramm and Kelly Hansen, it's Luis. And he shares with Boomerosity a lot of inside scoop on how this all went down and what the chemistry is. And we talk about a bunch of other stuff too. And it is just a lot of fun. Now, I got to confess to you, I made a mistake. We were a little late getting started. I had a technical issue on my end. And so the recording kicked in a little bit after we made a little bit of small talk. And I wish you could have caught that. That was kind of cool. But anyway, you're hearing all the important stuff, and that's what matters. So I apologize for that little jumping in right in the middle of the conversation thing there, but I'm up front with you as always. I just wanted you to know what was going on there. I know you're a Foreigner fan or you wouldn't be watching this, so would you please go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and share it with your other Foreigner fan friends or classic rock lovers in your orbit. I always love that traffic, and it helps us out tremendously. The subscription is free, of course, as is just hitting like. So without any further ado, here's my first of what I hope are many, many more interviews to come with Luis Maldonado of Foreigner. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerosity. Take care.
As much of it. Haven't had much time to process it a lot, just because there's so many things to do, and exciting things to do. And it's a big team here, so it's really all about the team, and there's been a lot of support, and from everybody. I mean, mainly, I mean, I'm here originally because of Mick, right?
Yeah.
And, I remember when I got off the phone with Mick, I was like, wow, that blew my mind. And then, with me stepping into this whole uh, new role and dynamic of the band, again, I'm here because of Mick, and I'm here also with the support of Lou, and more importantly, with the support of all the guys in the band, and Kelly has been really, really awesome. I mean, it feels very natural because of that.
Right.
Um, everybody's involvement and support, and again, because it's really a team, um, it, there's a safety in that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm asking more questions and going, which way should we do? It's not really about me coming into a role and putting on the cape and the helmet and going, okay, this is what we're gonna do. There's nothing like that. Thankfully, there's nothing like that.
Right.
Because one of the great things about this band is that it is a band, and that it is a brotherhood, and that we're all, I mean, we just had some great moments the other night. We were all in the same room, talking about stuff, and like, brainstorming ideas. And, we've also made some pretty hard decisions too. And in that same spirit, we're able to come together and go, well, uh, couldn't be part of a better organization. I mean, really, it's
Well, I have to
awesome.
agree with you. I think the first interview I did with any of you guys was actually might have been with Kelly, but I think it was with Mick first, and this was in 2019, just
Yeah, that's right.
before the pandemic, and also they were performing. I was working in Nashville at the time, and they were performing with the chorale and the orchestra there. Probably one of the best concerts I'd ever seen. Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. But what really impressed me, Louise, to back up what you were just saying, when the pandemic hit, what struck me is the band I mean, they started emptying out the warehouse, so to speak, of merch and selling it to support the roadies, the crew.
Yeah, the crew. Yeah.
And that struck me as being probably one of the coolest things I saw during that whole period of time. You know, a couple of others were doing things to help, lower, like Joe Bonamassa doing his fundraiser to help the lower level musicians that weren't as successful as him, people like that. But man, what Foreigner did for their crew, that I mean, that put you guys at the top shelf there. And I realized that was probably just before you joined them, wasn't it? What?
It was actually I was in a band called Train at that time. But to to agree with you on that, because knowing the crew now, all the people that it is, I mean, there really is there's no division here. We're all kind of one big
Mm-hmm.
unit. And you mentioning that, what they did for the crew, it's the right thing to do. I mean, they're
Yep.
out here too. They're out here missing their wives and their daughters and their sons. They're out here, I mean, they're the first ones in, last ones out. I mean, they
Yep.
they really, really work hard. So it's the right thing to do. And it's interesting because I remember when I first joined the band, um, I was getting calls here and there, for certain things. And I remember talking to this one woman promoter, and she was going, "Hey, so and so, if you could do this, we'd like you to be part of this fundraiser." And I'm like, "Hey, I just want you to know, I'm not in that band anymore. I'm in a band. I'm in a new band." She goes, "Oh, really? What band is that?" And I said, "Yeah, I just joined Foreigner." And she just goes, oh my God, one of my favorite bands to work with. She's worked with them for years, and she said absolutely nothing but glowing things about the crew, the band, the management. Mick is the kindest. And Kelly was everyone was so professional. And I just remember hearing all that going, I know this person. I've known this person for 15 years. When you're in this industry, you see the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when and she wasn't a hype person. She was just, and I was like, that is the best thing to hear. I made the right decision. Not
Yep.
only because of the songs, but it's everything. It really everything has to line up. You got to be with people. You got to love the music you play.
Yep.
Absolutely. You got to love the music you play. You got to love being able to travel, and you have to love to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody loves to perform. They love the work and they love the perks of it, but they don't love to perform, or they don't even like the music, but they do need the work. Um, yeah, you have to love every aspect of it. There's so many dimensions to it. I think that one of the most important ones for sure is that you got to love the people that you're working with. Um,
Yeah.
and there's a high level of respect regardless of just being a good human being, right? Just be a
Yep.
good human, no
Right.
hierarchies, no, you just got to love the people that you're working with, and to be able to withstand like being out on the road for 200 days out of the year and all the craziness and going airport to this and cars and you know having your mood swings or whatever, and got people that put their arm around you and go, you're okay, you're with good people. And that's this camp. This camp
Yep.
is probably everybody supports each other, everybody uplifts each other. I mean, when we're home on our days off, we hang out, What are you doing? Nothing. Let's go for a walk. Great. Hey, what are you doing? Let's get the girls together and have dinner. Hey, what are you doing? I don't know. I'm gonna go to Michael's. You should come to Michael's too. All right, great. Um, yeah, it's very much a family here, which is great. I
Well,
love it.
the fans can sense it. If I can personify the fan base, I'll take that mantle and say that I've witnessed it from ever since the first time I saw you guys perform, which I think was in Dallas when I lived there, and it was outdoor. I mean, you weren't with them yet, of course, but I mean, you feel it. Fans feel things out in the seats, and you can tell
Oh yeah,
when
they
somebody's mailing it in or if somebody's having a bad day or whatever. But when they can also sense all the good stuff. And I can tell you, like I said earlier, my experience with Foreigner has always been top shelf. I mean, Kelly, I've interviewed him 3 or 4 times.
Great.
Mick was gracious to me. Met them all in Nashville that time, and it was funny. Um, this better than I do. Kelly's quite the foodie, right? And so
Oh
he
yeah.
did this. There was a meet and greet before the show, and I didn't know what to expect. I was there and waiting. And when I'm at these meet and greets, I always wait to be the last one because there's a lot of people have paid good money to be part of the meet and greets. It may be the only time they've ever met a celebrity or just their favorite band, whatever. And so I want to take a backseat. It's all about the fans, right? And so, I realize I'm one of them, but I do this stuff a lot. So I want to defer to these people.
Right.
Well, the band was doing the meet and greet thing, and before it was doing the photos, all this food was being rolled out. Kelly had partnered with somebody there in Nashville, some famous a chef. I don't remember. That's not my area of, that's not my wheelhouse, as they say. But man, he was all over. And each time they were rolling out something, he's explaining the food. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy crap, this is cool.
Yeah, actually, one of the coolest things when I first joined, so right out of the pandemic, right, I joined, and
Hmm.
you know, we start working, and we're on a bus, and Kelly has an induction burner or oven, whatever, on the bus, and he's cooking, and he's like, "Who wants something? Who wants it?" And I got to tell you, that was one of the most fun tours that I hopped onto because, you know, uh, I think one of the reasons he did it was, because we're out of the pandemic. Most of these hotels still weren't up and running because, people were still wearing masks. There wasn't room
Hmm.
service. So he's like, I'm gonna cook. And because, I think throughout the pandemic, he cooked the whole time. He never went out once. In fact, he said that. He goes, I never went out to a restaurant once. And I just cooked and cooked. And, he loves it. That's his passion. Um, and he cooked almost every night while we were traveling from city to city. And, we did homemade pasta. I actually helped him that day. And I'm like, what I do with this? It was wild. But yeah, that was really fun. Great memories on that. We
Yeah,
had a blast.
I think it was Indian food that an Indian chef that he was partnering with on this thing in Nashville, and it was cool. Like I said, I mean, you can put almost anything in front of me, and I'll eat it, and they'll probably forget it. I don't savor it like maybe I should, and like a foodie always does. So that's just how I'm wired. If you saw my stomach, I don't pass the plate up. But hey.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I that was just a cool experience to witness as well as be able to participate in.
Yeah, we do these uh he does these things called the Kelly, the host a dinner with Foreigner, and Kelly's the host of it, and he you know it's for, like, people that pay for like a VIP experience to hang out with the band,
Hmm.
have dinner with the band, and it's just this whole thing. And he's the master of ceremonies on those. We just did one. Where were we? Oh man, I don't remember where we were, but we just did one, and it's good fun. We get to, he gets to
Yeah,
talk about things he loves. We get to mingle with, a lot of really awesome fans and really great people, and we get, it's as fascinating for us as it is for everybody else. So, it's a good time. It's a really good time.
very cool. Well, I know you guys got a couple big things coming up. You got revisiting the Foreigner 4 album and then a
Yeah.
musical. Tell me about both of those.
So, well, let's see. Well, let me see if I'm talking about the right thing, because there's so many things going on. As far as musical goes, there is the Jukebox Hero musical here in Canada, which is part of the reason we're up here, doing a little bit of promotion.
Hmm.
Um, so we have a tour booked sometime in October, where we're gonna, bring light to that Jukebox Hero musical, and then there's also um, I believe, a workshop that's being done for another musical. Um, I think it's called Feels Like the First Time, and that's being workshopped right now. I think at the Tillis Center, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's going to be
yeah.
coming up. And that one has I can't remember his name at the moment, but the one of the directors who did, Rent, he did Chicago, he did a bunch of pretty pretty renowned Broadway shows. He's workshopping it, and so that's going to be good fun. And then the Foreigner 4, um, you know, so there's the anniversary of Foreigner 4 release, which we're
Hmm.
going to be celebrating with Lou. So Lou's going to join us for a bunch of shows. I think that's in December. Um, and there's going to be a re-release of 4 with a lot of bonus tracks, tracks that have never been released from the original guys. In fact, a couple of the songs I think, Lou finished, and we did a little bit of stuff here. I think I sang backups on one of them or whatever. But there's some new material on that has never been released. It's really cool. So that's fun too. And then also the album's being released with the Dolby Atmos in the Dolby Atmos format. And we this was in March, I believe. Is Jeff, Jeff Pilson,
Yep, yep.
is the director. It was Lou Graham and it was myself, and we were in I think it was Clearwater. We found a studio over there to kind of listen to the finished product of all the Dolby Atmos mixes. It was amazing. It was really,
Ah.
really, yeah. So you know how like um you have surround sound, right?
Hmm.
You have 5.1. Well, usually with
Hmm.
surround sound, it's kind of like a physical placement of the speakers, and it kind of, you hear things here, you hear things here, and they kind of pop out every now and then. With the Dolby Atmos, I mean, not only was the sound and the tonality and clarity of it amazing, but it was really dimensional. It wasn't this way. It was everywhere. And it wasn't
Wow.
popping like that. It was all consistent movement of parts and pannings and like
Wow.
dimensional. I mean, it was so wild. And I was like, I gotta get one of these systems in my house. And they're like, good luck. The amount of money to even create a listening place for that was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll stick to my Dolby Atmos earphones. And that is actually, I can comment on that. If you're a fan of high definition listening, right, of music, I
Hmm.
am.
Hmm.
Um, it's worth to get the right headphones and the spatial headphones. I know Beats has stuff, Apple has stuff. I have a pair of really great Techniques headphones, and whenever you put the feature on for Dolby Atmos or the spatial, there's this awesome to say clarity is really not doing it justice. It's like a definition, right? And so it would be like when you listen to music, there's this kind of people use the term glue, right? Everything is
Hmm.
just it all's there, it feels good. When you have Dolby Atmos, it's like you have very clear, defined placements and of what is going on. I mean, you could hear things that you've never heard before going, "Oh wow," because it's so clear and defined. I'd say that's the biggest difference, when I turn it on, turn it off really quick and try to go between the two. And they're both great experiences listening to stuff. I mean, we're used to one for sure. Um, but having the clarity of going, wow, listen how clear the voice is. Listen how the dynamics of everything. You're kind of taking it in a whole new dimension. So yeah, that was really
Would you
great.
say, would you say it's kind of more of an immersive type of experience?
Um, Well, okay. So if you were at a Dolby Atmos facility where you had the whole experience of it, absolutely, 100%.
Hmm.
But most of the time, the spatial stuff with like today's headphones, they can approximate a lot of that. And in that instance, you definitely get a taste of it. Um, but it's almost like having sunglasses on, and then the sunglasses are taken off and you're like, "Whoa, those are the real colors.
Ah, okay. I
Those
gotcha.
are the real
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's crystal clear. Wow, that's sharp. That's blah blah. So, it's like taking the cool shades, your favorite pair of shades off and seeing the world for exactly what it is and you're like, "This is
Yeah.
amazing." It's pretty vivid. It's pretty vivid. It's awesome.
Ah, I'll have to
Yeah.
check it out. I'm curious on the Foreigner 4, the original. I think Billy Joel's guy, Mark Rivera, played the sax on there. Did he come back on this one, or did Mick bring him in on that?
No, no, no. There was in fact, I think it was I think it was somebody else who played the saxophone on that. I think he did the live shows. He did most of the live shows, but I'm trying to remember who played the sax. I should know this, but I'm blanking out right now. Was it Wayne Shorter? Who was that? I can't remember. I'm blanking out for whatever reason.
That's
But no,
okay. That's
I
okay.
mean, basically, what they did is they went through this painstaking process, and Win Davis, who's who's been working with the band for years and years, he's a great friend of the band, along with Jeff Pilson, who helped oversee
Hmm.
and arrange all the original tracks so they could get mixed in Dolby Atmos. They went through a very painstaking process of getting all the original source material from the 2 inch to the half-inch masters to everything,
Wow.
and some really serendipitous way they managed to find all this stuff because it's not entirely original masters on records, they're not always entirely able, you're able to find this stuff.
Some
Sometimes
of
they
them
have
went up in flames a few
some
years
of them,
ago.
yeah, some of them went up in flames, some of them who knows what happened. There's others that end up in some storage facility that's not made for, cataloging. And I mean, some of
Hmm.
the worst stories I've heard is some of these 2 inch tapes ended up in some public storage, and the tape,
Uh,
you can't even
just
bake them.
degrades.
So
Yeah.
there was never a lot. I mean, I don't think when people were making records there, they said, "Oh, like let's save these because we know in like 50 years we're gonna pull these out again." Nobody thinks
Right.
like that. They're just thinking of the
Nope.
moment, like, about the music. But now with technology, how it's advanced so far, now, it's really not a hard thing to like have a hard drive or a DVD drive and go, "Oh, here's where our record is." But not with all this great legacy stuff. I think Zeppelin was one of the few bands that didn't leave any of the tapes out of Jimmy Page's site. So you can find that stuff with Jimmy Page. But a lot of
Hmm.
bands, I mean, you name it, it doesn't matter if it's David Bowie or Foreigner or Queen or whatever. A lot of these tapes, they end up for years missing. That being said, miraculously, they were able to find the tapes for
Wow.
404, and they were kind of, but they were able to find all of it, which is like I said, it's not common. um so they took the original tapes and they started, I believe they transferred everything so they could start doing the Dolby Atmos mixes. Man, you wait till you hear it. Wait till you
I'll
hear
look
it, because
forward to it. Yeah.
it's such a great record already, right? You put it on, you
Hmm.
listen to it on a good system. It's a great record. I feel like it sounds like it has more power to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it kind of gives you the feeling of like when you first listen to something that's like, whoa, it's kind of like revisiting. No, it's really cool.
Well, I know that for me, when I saw the band with the Nashville Symphony, and then later picking up a copy of the 21st Century one in Switzerland. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, with the orchestra.
yeah, that was to me that particular recording. That's the best live recording of Foreigner,
The
and with
recording.
all that extra musicianship going on. I mean, wow, I feel very blessed and fortunate that I got to experience that live in Nashville the way it was.
Yeah,
And to be in the Skirmerhorn there and the acoustics there are just amazing. But I
yeah.
mean, I just had chills all over me when hearing it all. And and how the band interacted with the orchestra and the choir. It was just top shelf all the way. It
Yeah,
really was.
we're actually going to be doing that again next year in Vegas.
Wow.
We're going to do a residency at the Venetian, and it'll
Ah,
be and right now we're planned to do that with orchestra, so that's exciting too.
very, very cool. I'm glad to
Yeah, it's
hear that.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
that's super.
No,
Well, man,
there's
I
so much stuff planned. It's kind of it's a bit dizzy. I mean, I just got off the phone with, Stuart, one of our managers, and I was like, wow, okay, all right. And I'm already trying to plan out next year. It's like, okay, when can I take a vacation? And
the things that we
the
as
problem I
fans
have.
don't ever see,
Yeah.
it's we see that 2 hours of rock and roll and not the 22 hours of waiting, traveling.
I just talked about that. I just got like when I told you I just got off the phone with the
Uh-huh.
radios in Detroit, and they were like, "What do people not see?" I'm like, "They don't see the other 22 hours. They see this, but they don't see like constantly traveling, trying to stay healthy, not just physically, but also mentally. You're away from
Hmm.
your loved ones for long periods of time.
Hmm.
Life happens, you miss birthdays, you miss anniversaries, you miss funerals. Life happens, and you have to try and find a good balance, a really good balance for that. So, you know, listen, no complaints actually, none whatsoever. Except that I got to stay away from sugar, and I've got to eat more water-based food.
Oh, well, make the exception that if you come over here to Dollywood, that you try out at least a piece of the cinnamon bread. I'm telling you,
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
it
That'll happen.
it's worth backsliding over. It really
Oh
is.
yeah.
I
Well, that's a good way to put it, backsliding.
it's old religious term there.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. For sure.
well,
Yeah.
Luis, like I said, I've interviewed Kelly several times. Jeff once or twice, Mick once. I look forward. Let's make a deal that we talk at least once a year as you guys are progressing and want to keep supporting the band every
Yeah.
way I can. And my door is always open to it. Even if you're doing. And this is a good question. Are you still going to be doing any solo work, or will you have time?
Uh, that's a good question. I mean, the desire is there. Whether time allows, that's another question. But yeah, I mean, the desire's there for sure. I mean, it's easy to say yeah, but whether it happens or not, that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah,
that'd be cool,
yeah.
you know. So yeah, I
Well, if
mean,
it does, my door's open for you on that too, man. I love how you
right on. I
performed.
appreciate it.
I've seen you with Foreigner a couple times already since you joined them, and so I'm all in. I want to support everybody in the band, and like I said, the impression I had during the pandemic, that's what really set me up to really want to always, be supportive of you guys. I mean, in the position I'm in, Luis, I I hear the stuff like, "Oh, Foreigner's not Foreigner," without and then name whatever member no longer there. I hear digs
Well,
about, well, Mick's not always with them and all that. You know what? This is a different time. I'm not that hard up about. I mean, heck, you still got people complaining that Brian Jones isn't with the Stones anymore, and that's
yeah,
been
but you know
60
what?
years. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's very easy to address these days because
Mhm.
the reality is none of us would be here at all, right? Without Mick. I
Yep.
wouldn't have gotten into this position had it not been for Mick. I mean, I was
Hmm.
just with him last week. So, it's a very one-dimensional way of thinking, and we know that life isn't one-dimensional.
That's right.
Uh, we know that there's many factors, and there's context that is missed when someone says something so one-dimensional like that because they don't see what Mick's doing, and they don't see what Lou's doing. They don't see all these other factors that are in play, and
Yep.
there's and it's really also that way of thinking is kind of a generational thing. We've seen a lot of these younger generations that have wonderfully been open arms and everything. And it's really one particular generation that kind of like it's on this loop of like, oh, it's not this, if it's this, it's not this. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But you're obviously not seeing all the other things that are happening here in regards to the band's legacy and the songs and
Mm-hmm.
Nick's involvement still, and all the decisions are made from this collective. I think you know this, but we just finished a tour of Mexico and South America, and Lou and I were both doing the singing. And I'm riding on the planes with Lou, and we're having a great time. We're laughing, and and really, the only opinion that I concern myself with is really Mick and Lou's and this band and the management who
As
makes
it should be. Yeah.
and not only that, but like the the ticket buyers who have showed up to support it and be part of the music, because it's not about one person or more than anything. It's about the music, and a lot of people understand that. I mean, Lou knows that, Mick knows that,
Yeah.
everybody involved knows that it's so much about the music. I mean, none of us would be here without that music. So what are we serving?
That's
We're
right.
serving. Yeah, it's great. It's
I
great.
think I think those that are being that one dimensional, thought loop there are robbing themselves of a good time. And for me,
there's
it's the
been yeah.
legacy, and you guys honoring it. And Lou is behind it. I mean, not I'm sorry, not Lou. Well, Lou's behind it, but Mick being the driving force behind it, and him blessing it. I think that should be the stamp of approval that these people should be, recognizing there.
Listen, we could let's take Foreigner out of the equation. Let's just take that it's Foreigner. Let's take out anything with us, Mick, whatever. Let's just talk about music for a second. And I'm going to end it with this because the greatest music the greatest music, the most powerful music that has reached generations over and over and over again was because the music was timeless. And the music will continue to go on regardless of,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the only way I can even factor in how important music is, because really it's the power of music. It's the power of music that connects all of us. And I think that's more important than an opinion,
Mm-hmm.
because then there's proof that the music goes on way more for a much more length of time than an opinion. And you know what? It's totally cool. People have a right to it, and that's totally fine. Um, but I like the power of music and what it's done for me, and I like the power of music, how it touches people, how it makes people connect, how we could have 3,000 people, 8,000 people, 10,000 people all singing, I want to know what love is. That's that's where the power is. That's where the beauty
Mm-hmm.
of what these songs have done. And what am I going to pay attention to? Ultimately that.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think, I mean, there are a few bands where, actually, let's even take popular music, today's popular music out of the equation. Let's go with, classical music that has lasted, generations and still lasting. I mean, people that discover, Debussy and they discover Beethoven, and they discover Glenn Miller. They discover Frank Sinatra. They discover the Beatles for the first time. Are we to say that the works, because they're no longer here performing them, that they're not valid? No, because it's the songs, it's the material that's most important. And I
Yeah.
believe we're
I,
in, we're entering into a new era where people are starting to see that. And we're starting to see that with all these younger generations that are coming to the shows, buying the tickets, showing up, going,
mm-hmm.
this is my favorite song. This is what it did to me when I lost my dad to cancer, when I blah, blah, blah,
Mm.
when I was going through a rough period of time. It's like, what am I going to serve? That or that one small thing
That's
out
it,
there.
man. You
So
nailed it.
I can only give so much power to that and like go, okay, I've heard it. Let's go, So
Yep.
it's cool, man. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
cool. I feel blessed to be part of, I think all of us, and I could say this for everybody involved. I think we're all feel how special it is to be part of this thing, and to like the fact, I mean, I remember Lou said to me, he goes, man, there's a lot of work to do here, Luis. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. And with that, like, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, hey, the ticket sales are the proof that there's a lot of people behind you on this thing, and I want to be a part of that moving forward. And
Yeah.
I
And
think it's going to be.
again, yeah, and again, the reason is because the music. It's
Mhm.
they did it right. You know, Mick and Lou did it right, and I'm behind that. I'm behind the music, and I'm happy to contribute in whatever way I can of my own abilities.
Well, very cool. Well, man, I hope I can bump elbows with you in Cherokee if I get to make that. I'll work through John Lappin on that. But in the meantime, I hope your wife and daughter can make it out to see you on the road, and you get to have some family time there, and they get to see what you deal with every day. And
It's old hat for my daughter. She's like, Dad, I'm gonna go. I mean, she grew up, everyone in my so my wife's a cellist, and everyone on her side, they're all professional
oh,
musicians.
okay,
And everybody in my side of the family, both my brothers, they're professional musicians. So she knows no other life,
I
which,
see.
you
How old
know,
is she?
she's 11. So she grew up,
Wow.
she's grown up on the backstages, on the planes, and she's been on the tour bus with me, sleeping next to me on the bunk. And yeah. So yeah,
Who's the
going to
most famous person she's met that she was actually impressed by?
That's a good question. That's a good question. She doesn't have that mechanism yet. She doesn't have that mechanism where she gets starstruck, or like she has context of like, oh my God, look at, she's just a lovely open. But I will give you one moment that I thought was really touching. So she met Lou, right?
Hmm.
She met Lou for the first time when we performed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
She's pretty bright. She was well aware of like, me joining this band and the songs, and she knows some of the history. And we were in the lobby, and everyone was going to their hotel room. And I saw Lou, and I go, Lou, I want you to meet my daughter. And he's like, oh yeah. And he goes, hi, young lady. And she goes, hi, Lou. He goes, do you know who I am? And she goes, and he was, because she seemed very like well aware of who she was. So he was like, do you know who I am? Kind of asking like that. She goes, yeah, you're Lou Graham. You're the original singer of Foreigner. And they had this wonderful dialogue, and his eyes just went. And
Wow.
I think that was one of the most because she's met a lot of people,
Hmm.
and it goes over her head like,
It's like,
hey,
yeah, whatever.
that's John Oates. That's John Oates, baby. That's blah blah. You know. But this one was special because it was all kind of tying in everything together.
Mhm.
Um, it was fairly symbolic on many levels for me on that one, but like it was really cool. And so when we were doing rehearsals back in March with Lou, she shows up and she's hanging out. She's like, Lou, it's really cool.
That's neat. That is so cool, man. Well, man, I appreciate you taking this time, and I look forward to a lot more conversations with you in the future. And if there's anything I can do on my side, I'm not Rolling Stone magazine. I don't want to be, but I've got a pretty good viewership around the world, and so if I can do my part to help make things, get a few more people paying attention, then I'm happy though. So
Cool.
let's let's keep the doors open, and like I said, hopefully I can catch you when you're in Cherokee. We can bump elbows, shake hands, and know each other face to face then. And
Cool, man. Well, yeah, just let John know, and we'll do something. Cool.
all right, man. All right, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
This has been another fun filled episode of Boomerosity with your host and producer, Randy Patterson. The theme song is Roll the Dice and is recorded and used by permission from Quentin Hope. Quentin is spelled Quinten, and Hope is Hope. And you can find out more about Quentin at quentinhope.com. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerosity name, logo, and content is copyright protected. Segments may only be used with written permission by Boomerosity and/or its assignees. Inquiries should be directed to input@boomerosity.com. Copyright 2025.